If you have heard about elimination communication and you want to figure out how you can start potty training your baby from infancy, but your baby is past the newer window when it's easiest to start, this video is for you. This video is going to be all about how to recognize your baby's potty signals if they are past that easy start newborn window from 0 to 8 weeks. So if you do have a newborn and you want to learn how to begin natural infant potty training with a newborn, then check out the video that I have on how to start EC with a newborn. I will link that down below. If your baby is older than that, so past the 8-week mark, past 2 months, then they may not be signaling as clearly as a newborn does because that early instinct they have to let you know may have started to wear off. And so it may be much harder for you to recognize your baby's potty signals as they get older and they get past that newborn stage. And so this video is all about how to recognize your baby's signals when they need to go potty. Hello and welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Heather. I empower new and expecting parents to ditch the diapers and empower their child's early toilet independence to develop in line with their physical motor development. I am a full-time working mama and mother of 2 toddlers. I have a 1 and a 3-year-old. And if I can potty train my baby, then you can do it too. This channel is where I teach you all about how to start elimination communication and potty train your baby as early as birth. If you're new here and you don't know what elimination communication is, which is kind of a mouthful, I know, it is basically, in a nutshell, it is your baby letting you know or communicating their need to pee or poop elimination. And just like we would recognize that our baby is hungry and needs to eat and we feed them, we can recognize that they need to go potty, offer the potty, and take care of that as well. It is the exact same principle. Peeing and pooping and eating and sleeping are very fundamental parts of your baby's development, and we can learn to recognize their potty signals and help them go potty just like we would recognize their hunger signals and help them eat. So we're going to just jump right into it. I'm going to teach you exactly how to recognize those signals if they are past the newborn window. So in my free guide to natural infant potty training, I teach 2 fundamental principles. One is watch for the shift. And how do you do that? You keep your baby close. So let's break down what that means. In a nutshell, watch for the shift means that you are paying attention to any shift in your child's mood or energy. So if they are happy and playing and loud and they suddenly become very still or quiet, or maybe they go and hide in another room, that would be an energy shift, and it often is going to mean that they need to go potty. Maybe they need to poop and they're going off to hide if they are mobile, or maybe they just need to pee and they're getting very still as they're feeling that urge come over them. You also may notice that your baby may be in sort of a calm, connected state of very calm and still, and then they start to become agitated or irritable, or they're squirming a lot. That shift in energy from very calm to agitated, that is also an indicator that your baby probably needs to pee. Usually that's a pee cue and not a poop cue, but it can be both. Sometimes and often your baby will pee and poop at the same time. So another way that you can, well, really the easiest way that you can recognize that energy shift is by keeping your baby close, the second principle of natural infant potty training. So what does that look like? That might look like baby wearing. So wearing your baby in a ring sling, a wrap, or a carrier. Breastfeeding, where you are physically holding your baby. Maybe you're co-sleeping at nighttime. That's a great way to recognize cues at night if you choose to do that. Or just sitting with your baby next to them and playing with them, or even just having them in the same room as you. If we put our baby in a diaper and have them playing in another room while we are focused on something else, then yes, it is going to be very difficult to recognize your baby's potty cues and help them take care of that. And so I am not saying that that is bad or you shouldn't do that. I understand the many, many needs of you as a mother or a father or a caregiver when you're taking care of babies, and your attention is split in 1,000 directions. So I know that you need to take care of work, taxes, cooking dinner, whatever it is, cleaning your house, your other children. So I 100% understand because I am in that boat too. I am a working mama. I do go to work full time, and our children are at home with a nanny that lives with us or an au pair. So And I also have videos about that too if you want to learn more about how to do EC with a child with another caregiver if you need to go to work. I will also link that one down here in the description. But when we keep our baby close and we are in their physical proximity, it is much easier for us to recognize that shift in their mood and to recognize when we need to take them. And so that is going to apply to a baby of any age, whether they are a newborn all the way up to a 1-year-old or older if you are starting potty training with an older toddler. So watch for the shift. That is really the key in being able to recognize fundamentally when your baby needs to go potty. Now, because I know that you are a busy, working, or distracted caregiver, most likely, and your focus is not going to be 100% on your baby, there are some other ways that you can start to pick up on your baby's potty cues and be able to anticipate and take them when they need to go without having to keep a laser eye on them all the time. So, the other ways that you can begin to recognize the cues, number one, is to record your baby's patterns, and you want to start to identify their natural timing or when throughout the day and their normal routines that they are typically peeing and pooping. So for a very young baby, they will typically pee and poop just about at every feeding. And so if you have a newborn and you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding 8 to 12 times a day, they are probably going to poop 8 to 12 times a day. And I have heard from many of the parents in my community that their baby suddenly started pooping more after they began EC and started taking the diaper off and giving them more opportunities on the potty. That is very common because a baby typically does not inherently want to poop in a diaper. They are programmed and wired not to do that. That is a survival mechanism. It is an instinct that they are born with, not to soil themselves, their bodies, their bedding, or their caregivers. And so when you start to take the diaper off and give them that opportunity on the potty, you may notice that they are going to poop a lot more. So once you begin EC, you want to start taking note of those natural rhythms. So if you have a slightly older baby, they're going to start to consolidate those pees and poops throughout the day. And so instead of pooping 8 times a day, they may poop only 3 or 4 times a day. And if you have an older baby who's closer to 12 months, they may be pooping only once or twice a day. So you want to figure out, okay, is it happening after a certain nap of the day? Is it happening after a certain meal of the day? I know with our daughter, she would typically from like 4 to about 9 months, she had a really solid routine every morning after I would breastfeed her in the morning after she woke up. Every morning after that feed, she would need to poop like clockwork. And so I always knew it's coming, I'm gonna take her. I would just take her into the bathroom and sit her on her little potty next to me while I got ready for work. And almost without fail, she would poop right then. So when we can start to anticipate the patterns and know when to expect the poop, we can get ahead of it. And so we're not waiting on the cue and worried that we're going to get distracted by something else. We can anticipate that it's coming, offer the potty, and give our baby some time and an opportunity, and most likely they will be able to take care of business when you offer, because you offered at the right time. So another really common time that babies will often poop is right after dinner. So between dinner and bath time or dinner and bedtime, most babies of any age are going to poop, or right after lunch. So when you can know that that's happening, you can watch for those signals. So a thing that happens a lot with our children is that at both of our children, I have a 1 and a 3-year-old, and they would always need to poop like during the meal. So during lunch or during dinner, they would always seem to need to poop while they were sitting in their high chair. And you may think, oh, well, they're eating, we're just going to let them finish eating. If you notice your baby needing to poop, maybe they start squirming, they start pushing off of the high chair or leaning back in it, or maybe they're throwing food, they're dumping their plate on the floor. Those are all signs that poop is coming imminently. So that would be a soft cue. I call that a soft cue when they're starting to exhibit irritation and agitation, and they're no longer focused on the thing that they should be focused on. So they're no longer focused on eating a meal, or they're no longer focused on breastfeeding. If you've ever had your baby they won't latch, or they were they were latched really well and now they're popping off of the breast, that is a very strong indicator that your baby needs to pee or poop. And so when that happens, that shift happens where they're not doing what you expect them to be doing in that moment, and they're throwing their food, or they're kind of just crying, or they're loud at the table. Go ahead and get them out. Get them out of the high chair, take them over to the potty, set them on it. Most likely, you're going to catch something. So watch for that. I can't tell you how many times we have been in a restaurant or dinner at a friend's house or dinner at our house, and halfway through the meal, our daughter would need to go potty. And it was very clear to all of us, because we are familiar with her signals, we're familiar with her routines, that it's time. And so when we are out and about and we are at a restaurant, we bring a little travel potty seat with us. She's older now, and so the potty seat works better for us than just holding her in a classic EC hold over the potty, which we did all the time when she was younger. And I also have a video about which potty to choose or which potty seat to choose based on the age of your baby and the needs of your family. And that's another video you can go watch after this one. But whatever you need to do and whatever your family's routines are, be prepared to take them mid-meal, because most likely they are going to need to go potty potentially before that meal is over, and if not, immediately thereafter. So know that it's coming, know that they have this routine where they always poop after dinner or after lunch, and go ahead and take them. So that is called natural timing. You're going to be watching for their natural patterns and routines, and then offering at that time. Another thing that you can watch out for is when you're taking note of your babies, how often they're peeing and pooping, when they're doing this. You may even want to write this down, either on paper with a pen, which would be like the most simple way to do it, or you can use an app. There's an app that we like to use. It's called Huckleberry. This is not a paid promotion. It is a free app. We've been using it with both of our children for over 2 years now. And I love it because it has a graphical representation of all of their feeds, all of their naps, their sleeps. You can put diaper changes, you can put potties in there, even like if they miss the potty or they have an accident, you can put all of that stuff in Huckleberry and you can see it graphically. And so you can start to look back at that data, whether you keep it just for a few days to kind of figure this all out, or if you want to keep this longer term so you can go back and look back at it. I like data, so I enjoy data tracking, but I know that not everyone does. It is not a prerequisite of EC to be a stickler about data tracking, but it is an option if you enjoy that kind of a thing. So if you start to track your baby's data and you can see how often they're going pee, maybe they need to pee every 30 minutes when they're awake, or they can go longer. As an older baby, will be able to go longer and longer and longer as they get older, and their pelvic floor muscles and their bladder control muscles develop over time. They will be able to hold it longer. And so take note of the typical duration between pees or poops, mostly pees, because poops are typically more associated with a meal. So when they eat a meal, that stimulates their digestion, and then they're very likely to poop right after that. Whereas pee is more about just the timing of the day. And if they've just had a meal or they just had a milk feed, then they just took in a lot of liquid. And so they're going to need to go pee shortly thereafter. They may pee more frequently after a meal versus after just in general playtime where they haven't drank a lot of liquid recently. So take note of that duration of time and look at your watch. Okay, so I know that if I know that my daughter peed 20 minutes ago and we're about to leave on an outing and she needs to pee about every 45 minutes, I know, okay, I can offer again right before we go and see if she needs to empty again. She probably won't need to pee, but it would help if she can go, because that's going to reset the clock, and that's going to give us 45 more minutes in order to go on our outing and be able to be out and about at the park or on a walk, wherever, without having to worry about her needing to go potty. Now, if she doesn't choose to pee when I offer the potty, and if your baby is refusing the potty and is like, no, I don't need to go, then you can honor that and respect that and take them off. Never force a baby to sit on the potty if they don't want to. There are all kinds of ways that we can encourage our baby to want to sit on the potty and to enjoy that time. especially if you're giving them high quality face-to-face time with you, because that is, let's face it, that's what every child wants, is more mama, more mama. So if you can make that time fun and engaging and high quality time with your baby, they are going to be more likely to want to sit there, but never force a baby to sit if they are not interested. So if your baby refuses the potty and you know that it's already been 20 minutes and they're probably going to need to go in 25 more minutes, then keep an eye on your watch. And when you're out and about, if it's been about 45 minutes and you start to notice that your baby is getting agitated and irritable, that's your cue. That would be a great time to offer. And now you've sort of put two things together. You've put duration and you've put their signals together, watching for the shift, and you know this is when they need to go potty. And when we can get really dialed in on our baby's timing, their cues that they're giving, their agitation, their energy level, then we can offer at the correct time. We're much more likely to catch something, and we're not wasting our time running back and forth to the potty. Do they need to go? How about now? How about now? Worried that we're going to miss something. So I don't have time for that, and I know that you don't have time for that either. So I want you to really kind of put all these things together so that you can clearly identify your baby's signals and take them when they need to go, and so that everybody can get in, get out of the bathroom, and move on with your life. Okay, so we talked about watching for the shift, keeping your baby close so that you can identify the shift. We talked about observing your baby's natural timing and the duration of time between when they need to pee or poop. And we've also talked about just putting that all together and observing when your baby needs to go. So I think I covered everything. I have some notes written down here. And oh, okay, so the other thing that I wanted to mention is that when you are watching for these cues, the soft cues are going to be the agitation, the irritability. Maybe your baby makes a specific noise or a sound. You can also teach them certain potty cues. So when we notice that our baby is agitated and she needs to go pee, we say, oh, it's potty time. We use the this American Sign Language letter T. It's like this. And she sometimes did like this when she was little, but babies are obviously developing their fine motor skills. And so this is pretty close, and we knew what it meant. So just like your baby, when they're learning how to speak words, they're going to make certain sounds that are kind of different from the proper English or the proper language that you're teaching them, but you can recognize it. That's what we're going here for. That's what we're going for here. That's what I meant to say. So if you can choose a signal to use with your baby and teach them this sign, whatever it is, consistently from the time that you start UC with them and use it every time, they will eventually start using that back to you and telling you very clearly that they need to go potty. And so obviously that is going to make things a lot easier down the road when they are older, if they can tell you that they need to go potty. But this video is all about how to identify signals when your baby is not telling you. So you are just observing with your own eyes and hands and ears, and they're not clearly telling you. So I still want you to use that potty signal so that they can begin to learn how to clearly sign back. But when they are a young baby and they're in the early stages of elimination communication and the early stages of natural infant potty training, the responsibility is really on you, the caregiver, and you will not start transitioning your baby to taking responsibility for their own toileting until much later. So until kind of between 10 and 12 months, your baby will start to show signs of being able to walk. They will develop more of a will and an independence from you. They may even experience a potty regression during that time. That's very, very common. It does not mean that you are doing something wrong. It means that they are kind of evolving into their own person. And after that period is when you will start to take the diapers away and give them more responsibility to take themselves to the potty. But until that time, the responsibility is really on you to identify their signals and help your non-mobile, non-walking baby actually get to the potty and relieve themselves in a clean and satisfying way that feels good to them. And, you know, the bonus is you're not changing poopy diapers. So it is very easy to do once you know what to look for. Okay, so those were the soft cues. You also may start to notice hard cues, and a hard cue would be typically a facial expression change. You will notice if your baby is pooping. You may already notice this if you are watching this with an older baby. I'm sure you've seen when your baby is pooping in their diaper, how their face will change. Maybe they make a noise or they grunt in a certain way. That is a hard cue. That means it's happening or it is happening imminently. And if you see a hard cue happening, then you have like a split second to airlift your baby to the potty and get them on there. And that has definitely been us many times if we're distracted or we're busy doing something else and we didn't catch the early cues. So just like with a newborn baby, how when they're hungry, there's certain like early signs where they're starting to appear hungry and oh, I better feed them, versus if you wait all the way until they're starving and they're screaming and their face is red and it's really hard to get them to settle and eat. You want to kind of get this earlier. So if you can notice the soft cues earlier on, that's going to help you be more successful. But if you're all the way to the hard cues and it's happening, then now is the time to take action. Do not delay. You may be in the middle of a conversation with someone. You may be in the middle of a meal. You may be in the middle of a prayer at prayer group or whatever you're doing. You're going to have to stop and take action in order to get them to the potty. Is it okay if you miss? Absolutely. It's any miss that you have is really just information for the next time that you can use to be more accurate next time. And so you do not have to catch everything. That is not the goal here. The goal is to improve and encourage your baby's communication about this so that they are eventually clearly communicating to you intentionally that they need to go potty. So if you see your baby signaling, then you want to, at the very least, acknowledge them, use your chosen potty sign, say, oh, you need to go potty, I'm going to take you, and get them there as quickly as you reasonably can. And even if you miss, the important communication has happened, where they signaled, you acknowledged, and you took action to get them there. And that is going to reinforce that that's what you want them to do moving forward. And so eventually, you are going to have a baby that is clearly and intentionally signaling to you that they need to use the potty. And it's only going to get easier from there. All right, so we've covered a lot today. I hope that's really helpful for you in figuring out your baby's signals. If you learned something today, please give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Let me know what you find helpful and what you want to see more of. It will really help these videos and this channel get out to more people. And that is really the goal here, is to educate as many people as possible about elimination communication so that they have the option to choose if they want to do this with their baby or not. I've talked to so many mamas and parents, us included with our first baby, who just simply did not know EC existed. And when they find out about it later, I hear so often, oh man, I wish I had known about that. I wish I had known about that. And I feel the same. I wish I had known about EC with our first baby so that we could have taken care of him in this way. And I know that you love your child and you want the very best for them. And so that is why I'm teaching this information, so that you have it, and then you can decide what you're going to do about it. So if you could share this with someone else, that would be awesome. That's going to help my channel grow. So that's enough for today. This video is getting very long. I will see you in the next one.